Welcome to Her Imprint, part of the Impressions Exchange. I'm Denise Gustafson, your host. This podcast celebrates the remarkable women who are transforming the printing industry. We'll explore their journeys, from challenges to triumphs, and share the stories that leave a lasting imprint. Today, I have with me Judith Maloy. She's Director and CEO of Polaris Direct. So Judith, welcome.
Thank you very much, Denise. Nice to be with you.
So nice to have you on. So to get us started, can you tell us a little bit about Polaris Direct?
Of course, we are a full-service direct marketing services and printing company. We're located in Hooksett, New Hampshire, and we specialize in creating high-volume direct mail campaigns for Fortune 500 companies, ad agencies that are looking to produce very specialized one-to-one personalized communications for their clients.
So very specific, a lot of direct mail.
Yeah, we are print production for the mail. The printing industry is so vast, and that really is our niche and the way we like to describe it. Of course, direct marketing services evolved over the years, as has the print industry in so many ways. And we've tried to really stay on top of those changes in the industry and have evolved right along with the industry. Polaris Direct runs high-speed roll-to-roll variable data print equipment and high-speed insertion equipment, folding equipment. So we really run at scale with our sweet spot. We can produce over 1.5 million pieces a day. So we really are in that high volume space, but yet creating these personalized messages, which is key to the print world today, right? So it's been really transformative for our company. We've been in business for 22 years, a startup in 2003. We've evolved right along. And of course, it's not your grandmother's direct mail anymore. It's something different where we enhance the mail with digital channel integration, where we can email marketing, all of it, so that all these multiple touch points are hitting our customers' communications. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
That's really cool. 22 years, the technology that has been in those 22 years, the changes are tremendous.
Yeah, really transformative. And we'd been watching the industry for so many years, looking at variable data print inkjet, roll-to-roll inkjet technology, and decided to jump in about, 7, 8 years ago, where we were primarily running as a letter shop and outsourcing print and offset print capability. But then we decided to bring that new technology in-house. So truly, we are running full service print and direct mail bindery production for our customers. About 7 years ago, we said, you know what, it's time to integrate strategic marketing services. So within the walls of Polaris Direct is our strategic marketing services division, which is really an in-house agency that not only services the Polaris Direct brand, but also brings digital channel marketing, multi-channel marketing, along with the mail to some of our key customers.
Yeah, because I can imagine starting out, I'm guessing you were offset at that point?
Yeah, we set out in 2003, and it was really pretty much offset print production. And we were creating lots, and people were going on press checks and approvals. The variable data print technology that exists today, we liken it to taking the handcuffs off of marketers, because marketers today can really utilize print the same way as they can get messaging out online, because we can produce in real time. So as much data as you can give us, we can create relevant messaging one-on-one.
All the customization, the personalization.
Yes.
So when you started, you were probably doing one graphic, 1 million of one graphic. Now you're doing 1 million pieces, but 1 million graphics or 1 million different impressions.
Every record is a unique data set that produces personalized content. And you're doing that at 722 feet a minute. So it's really brilliant. And we are so lucky to have launched into this new technology, and we feel it really transformed our business. We also found it was the right time for strategic marketing services to bring additional value to our customer base with looking at how we could help create really great personalized content. And so this end-to-end solution with this in-house agency is really doing that for our customers.
And I know recently we've noticed that the print buyer has changed. That person's becoming younger and they just don't have the institutional knowledge to know what goes into a really good print program. So to have that agency to be that resource for them is
Yeah.
probably invaluable because you're providing that institutional knowledge of what's going to work, what's going to print right. How can we help you craft the best message, the best piece of marketing to make sure that your message gets out?
Right. It's no longer about purchasing ink on paper.
Mhm.
The print buyers of yesteryear are dwindling away, right? Now we're face to face with marketers, which is what we always wanted to do. And we can speak their love language. We understand ROI. We understand what their goals are, and we can help them craft that solution.
Mhm.
And so that's really what we do at Polaris and our special sauce is helping solve those marketing challenges for our customers.
So how did you get involved in this crazy industry?
Yeah, great question because I was not born a printer and I didn't go to school.
No, you weren't?
No. I actually was a marketer, believe it or not. I went to school for communications and then went to the big city. I went to the Big Apple, New York City. I spent my early years in New York City working in advertising, working on Madison Avenue for ad agencies on the marketing strategic side in account management and specifically in direct marketing, which I mean, I hate to date myself, but that was 40 years ago. So in 1985, it was really the direct marketing industry was really in its
Huge.
early
Yeah.
infancy. So I've watched that grow and been part of that evolution as well. As a marketer, we worked with printers, we worked with print production folks. I actually married a printer. How about that? So
So that's how you got in. So your secret sauce is the fact that you were in marketing and then you married a printer.
exactly right. And he's taught me much about the world of print over the last 40 years, but I was his client, I have to say. So there's another story, but not
Definitely another story, but not for today. All right, I wanna ask.
But yeah, that was my genesis. So working as a list broker manager in New York, that was my first job. And then working in agencies and then stepping back for a while as my husband and I decided to have a family. So we have 3 children and I took a hiatus from my career. And then when we moved to New Hampshire is when we started Polaris Direct. And we listened to some clients who said, you should structure it as a women owned business. I've spent most of my early career doing this kind of work. So we decided with some partners that we would start Polaris Direct. And we opened the doors in 2003. In 2004, we became a women owned certified business through the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. And so we've had that certification since. And that has given us some opportunities to speak about diversity. And as a diverse supplier, we were given opportunities to have a seat at the table with some of these corporate procurement teams to share our capabilities. While we were operating, I hadn't really gotten or utilized my certification for 14 years. So we were certified since 2004, but later on, I started to attend some of the conferences and take advantage of these networking opportunities. And so today, I'm very much involved in the Women's Business Enterprise National Council and serving on their forum. Also involved in the Center for Women in Enterprise, which is the Boston affiliate to
Okay.
the WBENC, collaborating and helping women-owned companies. Been a great ride in that sense and got me back into my career. It's been terrific. And I have to say that one of the most significant milestones for us was when we got through our first year as a startup. You get through your first year, you're like, okay, great, we did it. Now let's try and make it to 5 years. And when we made it through 5 years, that's a significant milestone. 50% of companies fail within the first 5 years as a startup. So the fact that we made it past 5 years, then 10, 15, then 20. So it's been a pretty amazing ride.
Yeah, definitely. So why print? Obviously, you have the background, but at that point, you probably could have started any kind of business.
Absolutely. Like I leveraged the experience and the relationships. It was meant to be
Mhm.
that we started. And again, we started as a letter shop. We didn't own print equipment. It's pretty expensive to own a print shop. So we would outsource that. But then when we found that right time, we integrated that new technology And that's when it really became that full service transformative company for us. I guess because direct marketing is all about print, that's what led me down that path.
Yeah.
It was a mass communications degree that said, let me do advertising, then led me to direct marketing, which was its own little segment of the industry. And then that led into the print.
And one of the interesting things that you said is that you decided to take a hiatus on your career.
Sure.
What was it like to come back? You literally came back in a big way too, because it wasn't like you just tiptoed back in. It was, no, we're going to start a business.
Yeah.
But it has to be a hard decision to make. And I think it's a decision that a lot of women in the industry, they reach that point. Do I
Right.
go and take the time off to start the family to do that? Do I try to do both at the same time, keep my career going and keep the family going? Everybody's different, but how do you make that decision?
For me, it felt a little forced, but
Mhm.
in a good way. And it was a matter of survival because it's truly the story of how do you find the silver linings? My husband had been working for a company in New Hampshire with the intent to purchase that company. And then we moved the family up here, and then the negotiations went south and we didn't end up buying that company. So now what do we do?
Yeah.
Go back and do we reintegrate into Metro New York or do we stay in New Hampshire? And that's what we did. We planted ourselves and we bloomed. For us, it was really making that choice, but feeling rather we needed to do it. And it's proven itself. And it was a significant decision that we made. I think it served us well. But yet, if I knew what it would be like to be a business owner, maybe would have thought twice. But you just go into it really feeling inspired and positive. And I have to say, it's been a journey, but it's really been a great journey, incredible learning, and met some amazing people. We built something incredible. And I remember turning to our partners and saying, we have this opportunity as a startup to create a culture. We have a blank slate here. A lot of people don't have that opportunity if they inherit a company, if they buy into an existing company. We were starting from nothing, like a dry sponge. We added water and this thing popped up. I was really about being intentional in creating that culture. And I think we have a pretty amazing team today. We are about 80 employees. We run 2 manufacturing shifts. We've been able to diversify and add the special sauce, which is that agency services and end-to-end solution around digital channel integration. So it feels really good.
Now, for you, when you started 20 years ago, you entered the Women's Business Council, but you really didn't get involved with it for a while. So, were there other networking opportunities or other professional development pieces that you found to be really helpful for you as you were building your business?
I'm going to say no. I didn't see any that were helpful, or I wasn't finding any connections there.
Mhm.
It's really not until I really truly became involved with the WBENC that I found this network of supportive women business owners that I felt really empowered
Mhm.
to really have some real professional growth. I didn't see it in the industry per se. Maybe there were some opportunities in marketing associations back in the day, the direct marketing associated, connecting with those industry membership organizations. That's always helpful.
Mhm.
Uh, but I think for me, I would say my biggest regret would be not having gotten involved with the WBENC sooner, quite frankly, so that I could feel better as a women business owner and director and CEO, that there were other women like me out there that were looking to connect and collaborate and really succeed together.
Mhm. 'Cause it's different when you're talking with peers, you might be in different industries,
Sure.
but you encounter a lot of the same problems.
Absolutely.
The same could be said of printing businesses as a whole, and there's a lot of the same problems, but then at least woman to woman, there's certain things that only women have to deal with in terms of pregnancy and other things, family, and how do you deal with maybe bias or unintentional bias? There's all of those issues that women in business roles have to manage and navigate.
Yeah, it's so true. And I will share one of those unintentional biases stories with you. So a couple years ago, I was at a printing industry conference, and we were attending the dinner, and I sat down next to a gentleman, and he turned to me as I was going to introduce myself, and he said, "Oh, are you a plus one?"
Oh,
I think in any industry that could happen, right?
yes, it could.
And you just have to maintain a sense of humor. So I chuckled and said, "No, I'm Judith Maloy, director and CEO of Polaris Direct." He went, "Oh, okay." But I always remember that. It's funny. There aren't very many women. In fact, I was at the Hunkler Innovations Conference in Switzerland, and I sat in the lunchroom, sat in the cafeteria, just looking out, and I just consciously counted all the women in the room. And I'm going to say it was under 20. And this was a room full, a big hall.
It's a big hall. I've been there. I've been in that room.
So you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. How does it feel, though, to be one of the 20 in a room of what, 200 some odd people?
Yeah, I think you feel a little in the minority,
Mm.
obviously. And maybe I think, like a lot of women in my position, you feel a little kind of intimidated or hesitant to say something wrong or whatever. But I think working for 40 years, and call me old if you want,
I would never call you old, don't worry.
you tend to just let all that go. So I feel for younger women in the industry, just making their way and trying to find their voice. I don't think the numbers have changed. So I think there've always been probably the same amount of women. Maybe there's a slight increase in the number of women in the industry. But what I'm seeing today is that women have more of a voice and they have a platform. So, like your organization, there's a platform now for women in print to gather and to have a place at the table.
And to have those discussions about how can we help and empower women to reach out for those positions of
Absolutely.
power.
And I fully embrace mentorships. And what I say to anyone that I talk to or I mentor is, yeah, always have a mentor. And I'll share a quick story. I was part of the Center for Women in Enterprise Corporate Mentor Program.
Mm-hmm.
And as a women owned business, I was looking for a mentor to help us. And back then, this was, gosh, easily 15 years ago, the industry was changing, as we talked about earlier. And no longer were you having to say, this is all the equipment we have, and this is what we can do, because we were talking to guys that were buying print on paper. Now we're talking to the marketers. Now we're talking to procurement teams, gatekeepers at large corporations. So what's the message there? So we needed a selling strategy, how we sold our services to our client base. And so they hooked me up with a mentor from Citizens Bank. And it was great. She was great. In fact, initially I was working with the Citizens team member who's now chief procurement officer for JP Morgan. But then I started working with another individual, this woman who today now works for our company.
Oh,
and
awesome.
she's a business development strategist. What happened in between is Amy and I worked together on this mentorship, and she helped us immensely. We created our selling strategy. Life went on. We were doing great things. And then she and I met at a conference, and she had been laid off from Citizens, some reorgs there. So she was at a crossroads. And I said to her, I would love for you to come work with me. And so we have been this dynamic duo, and she has been working with us ever since. And she calls herself my wing woman. She needs a wing woman, right?
He needs one.
She's always my mentor, and I'm always her mentee, but yet vice versa. I love that story because it's come full circle. My mentor is now supporting me as business development strategist. She's an incredibly smart woman. It's been a great experience, and you never know where things are going to turn or take you. So I just fully embrace the notion of having mentors.
In some ways, it's great, too, because she's the one that helped you put a lot of those initiatives in place. And now she's the one that actually gets to run them because she helped you initially. But it also underscores the importance of having those professional networks.
Yeah, I just think women in general are great networkers. We're the gatherers, we're the connectors, we're the ones that connect the dots, get people together. And I've seen that throughout my career. And I tend to think that I'm a networker. I never thought I was a salesperson until I learned how to be the face of Polaris.
Hmm.
And you have to be, when you're a business owner, you have to be a salesperson. And so I've learned a lot in that regard. And I've had great mentors and great networks to help me along.
So you've now hired from the financial industry with your wing woman.
Yeah.
One of the challenges I know we're seeing just across the board is finding people to come into our industry. There's misconceptions about what print is and what we do as a whole, as an industry. How or where can we find some of those new voices, some of those younger voices, men or women at this point, to try to get that word out about the benefits and really the opportunities that print can offer to people?
Print is communication. It's one form of communication. So anybody with a communications background, anybody who's had any kind of experience in marketing or selling could have a really successful career in print. I really do feel bad that print gets a bad name, right?
Mhm.
Because the digital channels came along and everybody thought the newfangled digital channels were going to be the end all be all. And we saw marketers take dollars away from their print marketing budgets and allocate it to digital. But didn't we see that turn? Didn't we see it all come around? Because yes, direct mail print is more expensive of a channel, but it brings you higher ROI. So we've been singing off that song sheet for years. And I think printers today understand that more. And they're looking at how they can project that message not only to their customer base, but to potential employees, and how there is opportunity to have a really nice career in the area of print. And when you go to places like Huntler Innovation Days in Switzerland or Drupa, you see how big of an industry the print industry is. And there's so many aspects of it. And so there's a lot of room for people to have really wonderful careers in the
Mhm.
print industry. For a while there, it was really hard to get employees on our manufacturing floor. The shift in newer technology brings different skill sets. So maybe someone's not as good with the wrench, but yet they can digitally program, the machine to run efficiently at full speed, scale it down, scale it up. They have those skill sets that now are more valuable to running some of this high speed equipment. And I think these floor operators, these manufacturers on the shop floor, consider themselves more technicians,
Mhm.
whereas the old printers out there, they're skillful, right? And they're
Very.
artists, right? And how they tweak the press and do all that. But it's
Getting the right balance of color and getting it to run a certain way. There's a definite art to that.
correct. But whether it's the offset kind of technology and how you're crafting the mix of color, or whether it's the more digital inkjet heads and how you're trying to manipulate color there, it's all the same. You're getting people that are highly technical. We actually have a very young employee base, and it's wonderful, right?
Mhm.
Because us old timers are learning from the younger set out there, but it brings a certain vibrancy to our organization. And so we tend to recruit based on business ethic, and then we bring them in and we teach them. We teach them the industry. We take every employee through what's called the Polaris Institute. It is a corporate wide rotation throughout every department where they are sitting for days at a time with the heads of those departments and learning the business, learning each department and what they do, and then how it all integrates together. And then also giving our employees the opportunity to participate in some of these industry events where they can learn, whether it's the National Postal Forum or whether it's Printing United Expo. There's lots of opportunity for learning. So we like to bring in younger folks and teach them and train them and
Mhm.
build their careers.
Yeah, and it's interesting, probably if you're looking 20 years ago, the people that you were hiring then are so different than the ones you're hiring now. You're probably looking at data scientists in terms of
Yes.
to make sure to manage all the data and the direct mail and the variable data. You're looking at coders, learning how to code, and that IT and technology department is something that 20 years ago we would never have thought that printers would need,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, exactly right. And remember, the foundation for my career was in data, right? I was
Mhm.
a broker manager. Data has always been, to me, what fuels a good, successful direct marketing or printing company. It's baked into our DNA. And yeah. we have some great staff that understand marketing, that understand data, that understand how to create audiences and profiles and end-to-end solutions for
All the
multi-channel
things.
marketing. Yeah, so it's all good.
So, in wrapping up, my favorite question, which I ask everybody, no pressure whatsoever,
Uh-oh.
is knowing what you know now. So, your history in marketing, your history starting Polaris Direct, the technology changes, your networking with women businesses, knowing all of the stuff that you have now gathered over the past couple of decades. If you were starting today, what advice would you give yourself?
Yeah, I think the advice I would give myself would be not to fall prey to the imposter syndrome. We all know what that is.
Oh,
It's
yes.
believing that your success is not deserved, that you're afraid and fear that you're not good enough. You
That's a
know,
hard one.
it is a hard one, but do not fall prey to that because you are worth it. I would say to myself, stay confident. And mostly, I just boil it down to one word: courage. Women should have courage to pursue what they want and not be deterred or inhibited by being marginalized at any given time because it's going to happen. I just think there are unintentional biases out there and it's going to happen, but just press on and stay confident and have courage.
Really good advice, but that's in some ways difficult too, to keep that courage and to maintain it and to find that courage within.
Absolutely. You just keep digging deeper and just focus on the wins, the positives, those milestones in your career, and that'll get you to the next.
And keep propelling you forward. Judith, it was a pleasure to chat with you today. Thank you for taking a little bit of time to chat about your history and your journey. And I can't wait to see what else is in store for you as we see Polaris Direct continuing to grow and succeed.
Thank you, Denise. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you for joining us on this journey to celebrate and amplify the voices of women in the printing industry. If you have a story to share or know someone whose journey deserves to be highlighted, we'd love to hear from you. Together, let's continue inspiring and empowering the next generation of leaders. Until next time, keep leaving your imprint. This is Her Imprint. See you soon.